Welcome to another episode of Casual Learning. I'm your host, John Bannan, and if you like what you see, I'd ask you to press the subscribe button below, or give me a comment or a question in the comment. I might be able to address it. Now, from the music that you can hear right now, today's topic is appropriate to today, which happens to be Mardi Gras. This is some New Orleans Mardi Gras music, very well-known song. So, the discussion today is about what is Mardi Gras? What's the deal with Mardi Gras? Alright, well, Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras comprises of two words, Mardi and Gras. They're French words. Mardi means Tuesday. Gras means fat. This is how we come up with another way of labeling Mardi Gras as Fat Tuesday. Now, some of these foreign languages like French, they like to put the adjective after. Well, I don't know why. In English, we'd say Fat Tuesday. So just the reverse. So what's so special about Fat Tuesday? What is Fat Tuesday? Fat Tuesday is the day before Lent begins. Lent. Now, if you're not familiar with what Lent is a religious period in the Catholic Church 6 weeks before Easter Sunday, devoted to penitence in preparation for Easter Sunday. Fat Tuesday is the day right before Lent begins. So you throw a celebration because this is your last chance to live it up and eat a lot of fatty foods before you gotta give them up for Lent. That's the whole idea about Mardi Gras. Now, Mardi Gras is a holiday that is celebrated around the world, especially in Christian and more specifically Roman Catholic countries, such as Brazil or Italy. They even celebrate it in Great Britain. Now, the celebration for Mardi Gras around the world differs than in the United States. It's not that big a holiday in the United States like it is in other countries. Like Italy, for instance, especially in Venice, they'll celebrate Mardi Gras with parades where the participants wear these very fancy Venetian masks that are famous throughout the world. For an example, they might look like something like this. This is a cheaper American plastic model, but the Venetian masks are made of ceramic. They're much nicer than this. But it's something like this. You get the idea. Or maybe something like this. So they wear these masks and they parade around all day. And the idea is nobody knows who anybody else is. And that liberates them to feel free to be a little more carefree than they normally would be. They might have a parade, maybe a parade with the boats on the canal in Venice. I know in another town in Italy, they celebrate Mardi Gras by having a fight with an enormous amount of oranges in the town square that supposed to be symbolic of some fight that occurred 800 years ago. But that's another way they do it. In the United States, the only place that really has a reputation for celebrating Mardi Gras is Louisiana. And that's because Louisiana was founded by Catholics. It was a Catholic territory before it became a state in the United States. And the main city in Louisiana where you'll find Mardi Gras celebrations is New Orleans. Today, being Mardi Gras, New Orleans is having all sorts of parades, both during the day and at night. These parades are basically these long trains of floats where the various crews on these floats throw out various pieces of collectible to the crowds, like beads or coins, maybe their famous moon pie. This goes on in New Orleans. This could go on all month, but it culminates on Mardi Gras. The next day, they stop all that and they become serious. For instance, here's some. These are some Mardi Gras type beads you might see down in New Orleans, thrown from various crews from their parade floats. Here's an old moon pie that they threw off of one of these floats. You might get some coins, maybe. Like here, okay, here's a few coins. See, these are cheap plastic, maybe aluminum coins. They have the different crews imprinted on them and the dates, and people collect these things. Now, in the United States, at least as far as Mardi Gras is celebrated in New Orleans, it's a lot raunchier than what you would find, let's say, in Venice, Italy, where they have a lot more class when it comes to this particular celebration. So in New Orleans, you're going to see, some gratuitous nudity. You're going to see a lot of boozing and people walking around with drinks, and it's basically a gigantic college party. And the focal center of it is Bourbon Street in New Orleans. This is in the French Quarter. The French Quarter is a great place to visit. There's wonderful food. There's bars and music. But there's nothing quite like what goes on Mardi Gras down there. That's a completely different experience. If you want to get an idea of what the New Orleans type Mardi Gras experience is like, you can pull up one of the webcams that they have at different bars in the city and go online, and you'll see a live feed of all the participants walking back and forth in front of the camera, and the crazy things that go on there, and the crazy sorts of people you'll see. Some are dressed up. They usually all have a drink in their hands. And then there's always lots of cops. But the cops don't really seem to do anything during Mardi Gras. My understanding is the next day, if you try that, they'll lock you up in a half a second. But the day before, you pretty much get away with whatever you want. Now, New Orleans has some really famous foods and drinks that are often imbibed or eaten during Mardi Gras. A couple of these are the Hurricane and the Hand Grenade. Now, these are really strong drinks. And for instance, you can get a Hurricane at a famous bar called Pat O'Brien's, right off of, it's in the French Quarter, maybe right off of Bourbon Street somewhere. However, if you wanted to celebrate Mardi Gras, up here or, up north or somewhere else in the United States, you can always purchase online the drink mixes, and you can make them yourself. So, for instance, if you wanted to make a Pat O'Brien's Hurricane, an authentic one, you can get yourself some Pat O'Brien's drink mix. Now, you can pick this up at actual Pat O'Brien's, or you can get it online. And this is just a syrup flavor concoction that you add a lot of rum to, and then you've got a hurricane, and that's a strong drink, and it's okay, but you'll find that down at Mardi Gras they're selling these everywhere on every street corner. People are they're buying big gulps full of this stuff. Another drink that you might find down at Mardi Gras is the hand grenade, which was made famous by Tropical Isle Bar. And this is another online purchase that you can make. This is the drink mix for a hand grenade. You just dilute this with water, and then you add it to a glass with some ice, and then you put some, believe it or not, Everclear in it. Everclear, which is pretty much, it is the strongest alcohol there is. Tropical Island claims that this is the strongest drink in New Orleans. I don't have any reason to doubt that. They might give it to you in a cheap little plastic fun container like this. It's like a little hand grenade, and you sip out of it, and there's like a little hand grenade ice cube thing in there. But that's just a fun little gimmick. They're not that expensive down in Bourbon Street, and they're fun, and you don't need to get a whole lot of them, and you'll be feeling good. For those who are more interested in what can you eat down in New Orleans during Mardi Gras, they have unbelievable, delicious food down in the French Quarter and in New Orleans itself. Some of the famous foods they have are the beignets that they sell at Café du Monde, which is basically a powdered donut, rectangular shaped powdered donut, delicious. But then they have a lot of crawfish-based meals. And if you've never had a crawfish before, it's this strange crustacean. It's about maybe this big. And the best way to describe it is it's a tiny lobster crossed with a cockroach. It's a weird looking thing, but it's kind of like a shrimp. And what they do is they crack this sucker open and they eat the tail meat, and they might suck the juice out of the brains. I never really understood that, but they'll eat crawfish cooked like you would a shrimp, or they'll put it in dishes. And when they put it in dishes, they use the tail meat primarily. And there's all sorts of dishes, famous dishes down in New Orleans that you can make perhaps at home to celebrate Mardi Gras on your own or with your family. When I was down in New Orleans recently, I picked up a New Orleans cookbook, and this has got all sorts of favorite New Orleans dishes, like jambalaya is a famous one. You got crawfish étouffée, which is delicious. And then you got various gumbos and grits, and I had a crawfish grit down there, which was absolutely wonderful. Crawfish pie. Well, you get the idea. And for instance, if you want to make a New Orleans style jambalaya, it's not that hard to do. What it is basically it's a rice based dish, and it uses the holy trinity of celery, onion, and bell pepper, and then rice and tomatoes, chopped tomatoes, and bay leaves, and maybe some other spices. But the main ingredients you stick in there are something called andouille sausage, which is a special sausage that you can buy down in New Orleans that you can also buy probably in your local grocery store. For instance, here's Johnson's andouille sausage. Now it's got to be andouille sausage. It has a special taste and flavor, and if it's not andouille sausage, then it's not really a New Orleans style jambalaya. So, but you got a pretty good chance of getting it. The other main ingredient in a jambalaya is crawfish tails. Now, I mean, you can get fresh crawfish in Louisiana, but as far as I know, that's like the only place you could get it. So if you want to have any chance of getting crawfish, you're going to have to go the frozen crawfish tail meat route. And you're lucky if your local store has this. This is not a usual item. This is a specialty item, and good luck. Maybe you find it, maybe you don't. This one, for instance, I bought it this morning at a fish market. I know Walmart sometimes carries these, but this is really a really important ingredient. If you don't, crawfish has a certain flavor to it that you can't replace with something else. It's really unique. But if you had to replace it with something else, you could replace it maybe with shrimp, for instance. You can also make a crawfish etouffee. You got this. You can go online and get recipes for that stuff. Although I don't have to go through that with you. But it's well worth it. It's well worth it. If you want to, celebrate Mardi Gras or throw a Mardi Gras-based party, having something like jambalaya with crawfish or crawfish pie or something like that will really make it seem like you're in New Orleans or you're celebrating Mardi Gras. Another specialty item that they celebrate Mardi Gras with in New Orleans is the famous king cake. Now, again, a king cake is something that you can find it down in Louisiana, but good luck finding it here. It's a specialty item, and you're going to have to ask your baker at your local grocery store, hey, could you make a king cake for me? And he might be able to. I mean, I can get it every year because I asked them to make it, and they make it. I had a lot of luck with that. Now, a king cake is basically it's a pastry, all right? And this is what it looks like. See this? See this? All right. Generally speaking, it looks like this. This is a northern version of the king cake. My guess is the New Orleans version is probably a little bit different, but it'll do. What else are you gonna use? All right. So the king cake has a special. You see this king cake? My local baker even put some beads on it. Now, wasn't that nice of him? I don't know where he got these, but that's nice. There's a local tradition in New Orleans regarding a king cake. Oh, there goes the beads. Every king cake, believe it or not, has got to have this little naked baby Jesus hidden in it somewhere. Can you believe that? Yeah. So what the baker's supposed to do is plant this little baby inside the cake somewhere so no one can figure out where it is. And then what happens is when they serve the king cake at the party, whoever the lucky person is who finds this, plastic naked little baby in their teeth because they got the piece with the baby in it, they get good luck for a year. Isn't that great? But they also have to supply the king cake next year. They got you, right? There's always a price. Well, anyway. My local baker's afraid of sticking this baby in this cake because he's afraid somebody's going to choke to death on it. So he puts it on top where It's not supposed to go, and he knows that. So what I do is I just go underneath, right? Take a knife, jam it, stick a hole in there, stick that baby right in that hole. Nobody knows where it is now, right? So I can deal with that. You know, it's funny. I buy this king cake box, and it's got a, I don't know if you can see that. It's got a warning label on it. Warning! Choking hazard. Small parts. Not for children under age 3. This is what our world has come to. Can't even put a plastic baby in a king cake without warning everybody that you might choke to death. I don't think that's ever happened where somebody choked to death because of a baby in a king cake. I seriously doubt it. If anybody out there knows of that ever happening once, but leave a comment and tell me, because I'm really curious about that. All right, so you have the king cake, and you know, you got your Mardi Gras party. You got some Mardi Gras music. You got your Mardi Gras drinks. You got your Mardi Gras jambalaya, crawfish. You're wearing some beads, all right? Look, if you're not wearing beads, then I'm not sure you even know what Mardi Gras is about. So you got some beads. You gotta wear beads. All right. So now these beads are kind of funny because you know down in New Orleans, these beads are like currency. They use them to bribe, you know, certain types of women to, you know, earn them. It's like a currency exchange. It's the strangest currency exchange I've ever seen. But that's what goes on down there. All right. Now let's see. Mardi Gras. Well, we got Lent. You know what Lent is. You know what Mardi Gras is. You know, Mardi Gras also has certain colors associated with it. So if you're looking for, you know, what should I wear, or decorating ideas, these are the typical Mardi Gras colors. So, you know, you got gold and purple and green. You put those all together, and maybe a little flashy sequins, and you got something that screams Mardi Gras. This is what a Mardi Gras, you know, trinket should look like, or your decoration should look like, and you're all set, really. It's a lot of fun. It's an underutilized holiday, really, and more people should recognize it. Because you know, Mardi Gras is all about, okay, the next day you got to go to church for Ash Wednesday, which is the beginning of Lent. Ash Wednesday. So you go to a Catholic church, if you're Catholic, on Ash Wednesday, and the priest takes some burned palms from the previous Easter, and he puts a cross right on your forehead. And this is to say, basically, we all know that we have to repent, because from ashes we came, and to ashes we will go. So it's a very repentant sort of Christian Catholic holiday. But the day before is Fat Tuesday, and that's a lot of fun. All right. So I hope you have fun with your next Mardi Gras party, if you ever throw one. But that's basically what the deal is with Mardi Gras. All right. See you guys.